Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the EASYAir training webinar. We want to thank everybody who's joined us today for coming back. I'm Marnie Stein, and I'm the project manager for the EASYAir project, and we are going to go ahead and get started. So first, I want to go through some webinar logistics. So to reduce background noise, we will have you muted throughout the webinar. However, you'll be able to type in questions through the question or the chat pane on the right side of your screen. If you have problems hearing or viewing the webinar, please submit a question to let us know that you're having issues. And then today's session will be recorded and will be posted on the EASYAir services page later next week. We also recorded a practice one that we can also post should something happen today, which hopefully it will not. So the agenda for today is I will be going over the background of the EASYAir project. Kevin Connolly will be talking to you about how you can access the system and get an account. Michael and John will be talking about how to apply for a construction permit. Jeremy will be talking about how to apply for a Title V permit. And we will have a question session between each topic. So if you choose not to attend all 5 topics, you can still ask your question. As long as it pertains to that topic. So the background of the EASYAir, first of all, before we get started, this is the URL for EASYAir. We're actually going to log in and do a live demo throughout the webinar. You can log in through typing in the URL. You can go down here to our EASYAir services page and click log in, or you can also click on the logo. So EASYAir has been in development for over 4 years. In 2016, we worked to engage stakeholders, both internal and external, to gather the features that you want the project to have and what things you want the software to do. And to do that, we use those business requirements to develop an RFP. We awarded a notice of intent to award to our contractor in 2017, and then it took us over a year to secure funding. We received funding in April of 2018, and we've been working with the vendor pretty much nonstop since November 1st of 2018, and we went live on December 5th. So the goals of EASYAir, so basically our previous electronic application system, which was SPARS, is old, and the software that it was used to create it are no longer supported by the state OCIO services. So we needed to come up with a new, more modern system. And our goal is to increase the number of electronic application submittals, which we were down to about 4% for SPARS, and that was because since we can no longer modify the software didn't really match our current forms. So we're excited that we have this available to you. We also wanted to improve the data accuracy and the submittal of complete applications. So one of the things that slows down the turnaround time in the process is if the applications we receive have missing data or inaccurate data. So this system has data validation that will require you to put in appropriate data. And then there's certain fields that we deem extremely important and they're mandatory, so you actually won't be able to submit without filling in those fields. And we hope that that will reduce the amount of time that we have to spend and you have to spend working with us to get the complete information in the application. It should also reduce the cost to you of maintaining your air quality permit data. One of the things we've heard over and over is that you're frustrated with having to submit the same information in a Title V application that you've already submitted in a construction permit application, or submit the same information in a construction permit application that you did in a previous application. So this system stores your information, and you can use it from one application to the next. It's also preloaded with all of your data that was in Slice as of November 7th. So when you log in for the first time, if you are a Slice user, all of your equipment data should be there. It's also a modular system, so we're looking forward to the future. This system is an off-the-shelf product that was configured specifically for air quality, and it can also be expanded to other bureaus within the ESD. So it could be expanded to water and solid waste. It can also be enhanced to possibly do other things for air quality, such as portable plant relocation notices, or perhaps the Title V annual certification. That's something that we are looking into. So as I mentioned, EASYair is pre-populated with your data that was in SLICE or SARS as of November 7th, 2019. So the way we did that is your current data in SLICE was migrated. If there was missing data or you weren't in SLICE, then we migrated your data from SPARS, but the primary data source was SLICE. This is a one-time data flow from SLICE to EASYair. However, as you use the EASYair system and receive permits, that data will be flowed to SLICE, so it's available for your next emissions inventory. Windsor actually owns SLICE, so we are working through a separate contract with Windsor and Infotech, who is the EASYair developer, to get that data flow completed, and that should be completed in February. So the benefits of using EASYair, as you'll see from the rest of the presenters, is it's very intuitive. Less experienced applicants should have an easier time using it. It's very much like TurboTax, where you kind of just work through a wizard down the side. You should get improvement in turnaround time as the system comes online and gets all the kinks worked out of it and our SOPs, because it'll take less time for us to contact you to get more data. And it should improve your interaction with us, so you can submit your payments online. If it's a construction permit application type that requires payment up front, you can submit the payment right with your application. You will be able to track your permit as it goes through the DNR process through the system, instead of having to call us and ask where your permit is or if it's been assigned. And then, as I mentioned before, as operating permits and construction permits data can be shared between programs. And also, we're developing a public portal where they can see your data, your applications, and your permits that are out for public notice. So one of the great things about the process that we went to develop this was we actually had facility users test the system. We did training for them with our contractor, and we had a 3-week testing period from September to October. And we were very pleased that we had 20 individuals from the companies listed on the screen. Hopefully I haven't missed anyone, who sent us a lot of great feedback on how to improve the system, things we could do now and things we might also want to do in the future. One thing that was very comforting to me was the items that they identified. They consistently identified them, so it showed us that those items were very important, as almost all of them identified them. So a big thank you to everyone who tested that, and we did include quite a few of those comments. We will still take feedback as we use EASYair on what we could do to improve it. We've also had a communication subgroup working that I would also like to thank. So this is a subgroup of the facility testers plus representatives from other groups. And what they have been working on is the marketing for the program. And if you go to the EASYair Services website, we actually have some communication products that you can share with your colleagues, associations, etc., about EASYair and why it's so much easier. It's easier sailing ahead, and we're working on some frequently asked questions, especially as people start to use this and we get questions sent into the help desk. And we will be doing future trainings, of course. One thing I wanted to talk to you about was paper applications. So EASY is an electronic program. It's not mandatory, but so you can still submit a paper application, which we really don't prefer, but you can do it. So paper applications that were in-house as of December 4th will be data entered into EASY after the permits are issued. And the reason we do that is we are moving all of the tracking and invoicing and time tracking for our processes to EASYair, so we really need to have all the applications in EASY. Paper applications that are received after December 5th, which is the day that we went live, will be data entered into the system before they're assigned to an engineer or environmental specialist. So if you choose to submit on paper, it will take an extra little bit of time before you're assigned to an engineer for us to data enter it. And starting January 1st, we will be adding a nominal charge for data entry of paper applications for Title V and major construction permit invoices. There is a frequently asked questions document about the nominal charge on our website that you can review. And really, that's just to cover the time it takes us to put in the system. And so that's actually an incentive for you to use EASYair. So some frequently asked questions that we've gotten during this process is EASYair mandatory? No, it is not, but it's highly encouraged. It speeds the process for both you and the DNR. Is SLICE going away? So no. So SLICE, if you're not familiar, is the electronic system to do your emissions inventory. We have no plans to do away with SLICE. And as I talked about before, we have taken great pains to modify the data from SLICE into EASYair and to work on a data flow back to SLICE. You still will get signed paper permits when they're issued. We will mail those to you just like we did before. And you can pay your application fees in EASYair. So yes, you can pay by e-check, credit card, check, or money order. If you submit, for instance, a Title V application on paper, when you receive your invoice, you can still go into the system and pay your invoice electronically. I did want to mention there are a few things in EASYair that aren't quite finished yet, and that is the public portal for when facilities view, not facilities, the public can look at permits on public notice. That's not quite finished yet. It's expected to be finished in January. We are also, there are PDFs, icons that show your existing construction permits. You'll notice on that when you click on them, nothing happens. We haven't uploaded all the construction permits yet, and we're finishing up the start of operation and start of construction portion of the system. So you should be able to submit those in the system sometime in January, and of course we'll let you know by the listserv when that's available. And also construction permit rescission. So while you're using EASYair, if you have questions, Kevin will show you this in his portion, but we have a significant number of instructions, user guides, and frequently asked questions on the EASYair services webpage. If you go through those and you still have questions, your first point of contact should be the help desk. You can either email the help desk or call Jason or Kevin Connolly. Excuse me. So Kevin was the SPARS database administrator, and Kevin and Jason are also the help desk for SLICE and work for SPARS, so they're very knowledgeable. And Jason is running our webinar system for us today. He just waved at you all, you can't see him anyway. And then should the help desk not be able to answer your question, or if your question is specifically about what data to put in an application, they will transfer you to the construction permit hotline or to Title V staff as necessary. But please contact the help desk as your first point of contact. Okay, before we get started, we will see if we have any questions. So I'm going to ask Jason, do we have any questions?
Yeah.
We don't have any questions yet. So we are going to proceed with Kevin's presentation on how to gain access to the system.